Welcome back to Legacy Contracts, and if this is your first time here, we're glad you found us. This channel exists for attorneys who sense that something beneath the surface of their firm isn't quite working, even if it's hard to name. Here, we look beyond surface-level efficiency and into the invisible systems shaping how your firm operates, serves clients, and sustains growth. Through practical insight and honest conversation, we help bring clarity to what's often overlooked, so you can lead with intention, not assumption. If you're interested in building a law firm that's not just functional but thoughtfully designed, you're in the right place. Let's begin. If you've ever found yourself thinking, why does everything in my law firm still come back to me? Or why can't I seem to get ahead even though my team is working hard? You're not alone. Today's conversation is about something we call the hidden leadership tax, one of the most expensive operational costs inside growing law firms, and one that rarely appears on any financial report. Leadership isn't just busy, it's carrying too much. Every managing partner expects leadership to be demanding. You expect difficult conversations. You expect strategic decisions. You expect responsibility. What most attorneys don't expect is becoming responsible for hundreds of decisions that never should have required their attention in the first place. Think about a typical day. A staff member needs approval before sending a routine email. A paralegal wants confirmation before moving a file. Someone isn't sure who should respond to a client. Billing has a question. Intake has a question. Operations has a question. Accounting has a question. None of these situations seem unreasonable on their own. In fact, most managing partners answer them without giving them a second thought. But when this happens dozens of times every day, something begins to change. Leadership slowly becomes the operating system of the firm. What is the hidden leadership tax? When most firms evaluate performance, they measure things like billable hours, revenue, collections, expenses, utilization, realization. All of those metrics matter, but very few firms stop to measure something that may be even more valuable: leadership capacity. Every interruption costs attention. Every unnecessary approval costs time. Every decision that flows back to leadership reduces the amount of energy available for business development, strategic planning, mentoring attorneys, strengthening client relationships, or improving the firm itself. This is what we call the hidden leadership tax. It isn't a line item on your financial statements, but you're paying it every single day. The question isn't whether you're paying it. The question is whether you realize how much it's costing. Why this happens? One of the biggest misconceptions in law firm management is believing this happens because employees aren't capable. In many firms, that's simply not true. More often than not, employees hesitate because the structure surrounding them is unclear. Ask yourself these questions. Does your team know exactly who owns each workflow? Who can make routine decisions? What decisions require approval? When should leadership become involved? When leadership should stay out of it? If those answers aren't obvious, uncertainty naturally develops. And when people become uncertain, they do what most professionals would do. They ask. They wait. They escalate, not because they lack ability, because they're trying to avoid making the wrong decision. That's a structural issue, not a people issue. Accessibility isn't the same as leadership. One pattern we've observed repeatedly is that many firms unintentionally confuse accessibility with leadership. Managing partners become available for everything: every approval, every operational question, every client concern, every workflow issue. At first, this feels like good leadership. You're supporting your team, you're keeping work moving, you're solving problems, but over time, something unexpected happens. The organization quietly adapts. Instead of the systems carrying the work, leadership carries the work. Eventually, people stop solving problems independently because leadership has become the fastest path to an answer. This creates operational dependency. And operational dependency makes law firm growth increasingly difficult, because the firm can only move as fast as one person's availability. The real problem isn't interruptions. Here's something we encourage every managing partner to consider. The issue usually isn't the interruption itself, it's the repetition. One approval doesn't matter. One client escalation isn't concerning. One employee question is completely normal. But hundreds of repeated interruptions every month point to something much bigger. They point to patterns. Patterns tell you where your operational structure needs attention. The healthiest firms we've worked with don't eliminate problems. Every business has problems. Instead, they eliminate recurring problems. They ask better questions. Why does this decision always come back to leadership? Why does this workflow consistently slow down? Why are the same questions being asked over and over again? Those questions uncover the structure underneath the work. How to start reducing the hidden leadership tax. The goal of operational structure isn't to remove leadership. It's to protect leadership. Good structure answers questions before they ever reach your desk. It tells people who owns this process, who has authority to make this decision, what happens when an exception occurs, when should leadership become involved, and when should leadership never need to be involved. When ownership, authority, and accountability become intentional, something remarkable begins to happen. Employees become more confident. Workflows move more consistently. Decision-making becomes faster. Delegation becomes more effective. And leadership finally has the capacity to focus on the work that actually requires leadership. That's where sustainable law firm growth begins. Not by asking leadership to work harder, but by building systems that stop asking leadership to carry work the organization itself should be carrying. If today's conversation resonated with you, we'd love to invite you to continue exploring these ideas. We recently released our newest ebook, The Invisible Resistance: Why Law Firms Delay the Structure They Already Know They Need, where we take a deeper look at why operational change is often delayed, even when everyone agrees it's necessary. You can also take our free law firm operational health assessment, designed to help managing partners identify where visibility, ownership, authority, accountability, and capacity may be breaking down inside their firms. And if you missed it, Legacy Contracts recently hosted our first webinar, Structural Accountability by Design. The full replay is now available here on our YouTube channel and expands on many of the concepts we discussed today. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with another managing partner or law firm owner who may be carrying more than they realize. Every week, we publish practical content on law firm operations, legal operations, law firm systems, workflow management, delegation in law firms, accountability, and sustainable law firm growth to help legal leaders build firms that operate through intentional structure, not constant intervention. We hope today's insight helped bring clarity to something that may have been operating quietly in the background of your firm. Progress doesn't always start with doing more. It often starts with seeing more clearly. Law firms aren't built overnight. They're shaped by the decisions you make once the invisible becomes visible. This is Legacy Contracts, and until next time, keep leading with clarity.